Hi, hello. My name is Hafidos, and welcome back to another episode of the Late Night Talks podcast here over on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Music. My name is Hafid. I already said that, but my name is Hafid, also known as Hafidos, and I am your host for this podcast. Yeah, if you're here, if you're a returning listener, thank you for coming back. And if you're a brand new listener, please check out the other episodes. This is the fifth episode of season one, and today's topic that we are going to be talking about is imposter syndrome, or just feeling out of place in every aspect in life. Growing up, the stereotypical thing about immigrant parents is that they are strict about marks and about getting good grades in school. Now, with my mom, surprisingly, it wasn't like that at all. Growing up, I never felt the pressure to do well in school. I did it out of just the self gratification of just doing great at school. I really liked the whole competition and the whole I can level up. It almost felt like a game, so I could always be better and I could always achieve more. It never felt like I was doing something for someone else. I always did it for myself, even though I didn't know what that would amount to. Like, I did it just because I wanted to be better at a certain subject, but I never really thought about, oh, I want this to lead me down this path. Now, this was in primary school, and here in Malta, the way things work is you start kindergarten, and that's for 2 years. And if I'm not mistaken, you start at around like the age of three. You go to school. I could be mistaken, but basically, you stay in primary school up until the age of 13. You go from the ages of like six, if I'm not mistaken, and you go from year one, year two, year three, year four, year five, and year six. Year six is the final year. And when you turn 13, you do these really important exams, which are called benchmarks. Now, with me, I never got told that I had benchmarks. Basically, when I went for my exams, I just treated them as they were any other ordinary exam. Now, when I used to live in Burmarat, which is northern part of Malta, I used to attend a totally different school. It was like a very diverse and very liberal school, which is very atypical to the usual Maltese standard. So even from the teachers' part, they weren't that strict about, oh, listen, you have benchmarks. Oh, listen, you have this. Oh, listen, you have that. They really didn't like tell us a lot, which to me was great, but also really put me in a confusing spot. So when it came to me doing my exams, I did not know I had benchmarks. And these benchmarks are like what basically dictate whether you can get into better secondary schools or what classes you get put into. Now, with my secondary school, I just was concerned about the fact that I was moving houses. I wasn't going to be seeing my friends anymore. So I was already I already knew that going into my exams, going into this final year of primary school, I was going to be leaving. So I tried my best, but at the same time, I knew that worst comes to worst, I just don't do well and I'll start a brand new page, a fresh page. But marks never really got to me. They never got in my head. They never got the best of me. So after I did the exams, I did well. And growing up, I always did well in school. I always not to boast myself and not to be that type of person who talks a lot about their achievements. But sometimes you need to let yourself you know, appreciate and really be like, hey, listen, I did this. You need to be upfront with what you did and what you didn't do. You need to be quite I don't know what the upfront, yeah. You need to be quite straightforward with what you've achieved and whether that's good or bad. If you did bad things, you need to, reap the consequences and own up to them. Own up to them. That's the word I was trying to use. You need to own up to what you have done. But basically, because I keep on yapping about primary school and I want to get into the meat of the episode, is that I experienced my first time situation of having imposter syndrome when I moved over to my new school. And when I moved over to my new school, they wanted my marks. And when I gave them my marks, they put me into a certain class. And in secondary school, I was always put into point one. And how secondary sort of worked was you did from the ages of 13 till the ages of 16. And you did Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. Form 3, Form 4, Form 5 being high school in regards foreign how schools work internationally. But locally, it's called secondary school, and it's a whole thing. But basically, we don't have we they did start calling it middle school and high school. But to be honest, No one ever cared. It was just called secondary school. Now, when I got into point one, I did not care. I did not know anyone. I did not know anything. I just got told that I would be doing track three of certain subjects, which were the core subjects of English, maths, and physics. No, English, maths, physics, and Maltese. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. That's how it worked. And basically, you would be assigned these roles and you would do certain tracks, and the tracks were like the exams you did for O levels, which is basically what you would get into for junior college, which then in junior college you would have 2 years where you do your A levels, and then your A levels are what leads you to university. But when I was in point one, I did not have a clue on why I was put into that class. To me, it was just because of names. My first name starts with an A, and sort of I was like, oh, maybe that's why I was put into point one. I know it's quite naive and dumb of me to think, because looking around, not a lot of people had like names starting with A's. So I was like, oh, never mind. When I got put into point one, I walked into class, and when I walked into class, like the teacher looked at us, the form teacher, which is like the person that takes care of your grade. She looked at us and she went, "You need to like pat yourselves on the back because you made it to point one." And I'm like, "Wow!" And I thought she was just talking about form one, like you made it out of primary to secondary school. Which, to be honest, I'm like, how can you fail at that? Like it's obligatory. Like you can't get out of it. So I'm like, okay, I don't know, like. But basically, Parents' Day rolls around, and I'm sat there with my mom and dad. And this kid behind me, who is in point two, his mom is like mad, and she's like stressing, and she's like talking out loud. Something here about like Maltese people is they talk out loud. Like if they have an issue, they will be talking to themselves, and then someone will pitch in, which is so weird. I always have this instance happen on the bus or like public transportation, where some random old lady starts talking about her life, and then she looks at you and she like tries to make small talk, which to be honest is kind of cute sometimes because they need someone to talk to. But to be honest, I cannot do small talk with strangers. Like, please don't talk to me. Like, the less words, the better. But yeah, she was talking about how her kid was unfairly taken away from um, his his right. Yeah, her kid was her kid's right to be in point one was taken away by the people that organized who is in point one and point two, because her kid got the best marks in his school. And my mom looked at her and she went, "What do you mean? Like, what do marks have anything to do with this?" It's like, yeah, don't you know? Like, the point one gets the best grades, and they're like treated the best, and they're like the best of the best. And my mom's like, "No, they're just another class." And she's like, "No, it's different. It's different." And then she looked at my mom and she went, "You wouldn't understand. Your kid is in point one." And I was there, and I'm like, "I'm in point one. What do you mean? Like, what?" And yeah, I didn't even open my mouth. I was like, "There's no point of doing this." But yeah, I ignored it, to be honest, because this like toxic idea of like, oh, let's have different grades dictate where we are at in terms of like scoring and score system. I do not like that. So I just took it as is. And to be honest, I just kept telling myself, oh, I will drop off. I will not stay in point one. I mean, in primary, I did quite well with my marks, but in secondary, I did like do okay in some certain, you know, top subjects. I was gonna say topics, but subjects is better. I was doing great at certain subjects, but at others I wasn't doing great at all. So you can imagine I was like, I didn't feel that confident with my marks, and yeah, I was waiting for myself to drop off. But surprisingly, I stayed in point one, and me and my friend, and this friend is amazing. I became friends with her on the first day of my first day of secondary school, and I had no friends back then. And basically, how it worked, well, how the entire ordeal happened was, I was sat in line, and she looked behind her because her friend was shy to make new friends, and I was behind her, and she was like, "Oh, let me show you how you can make new friends." And she just spoke to me, and we ended up just, you know, being friends, and we are still friends still this day, which is so nice. But basically, I would consider as one of my closest friends. But we had this running joke that we would stay in point one for the entire 5 years of form five, and we would have like this sort of pact where we would be in the same class, and every year that came around, we would still be in the same class. And it's funny because the point one kids are always considered as the best of their subjects and the best at what they do. But the funny thing is when prize day came around, prize day is this other thing where you get awards and where you get like special prizes from certain subjects and marks you got. Usually the main kids that got them would be from point one. But me and my friend would never get prizes, which is so funny. I only got like a prize, I think in form one or at the end. But it's so funny because both of us would be doing good in subjects, but like we wouldn't be competing for the prizes, I guess. We would just like do good because we could, I guess, like if you want to say that. Like we would be good at the subjects, but at the same time, we wouldn't be try harding the entire thing. We would just be taking it as it is. And yeah, there were too many tryhards in point one. Sorry, but like it felt like a competition every day. And I would be like, oh, I just want to back out. Like if I could pick not to stay in point one, I would have. I would have just left first day because I hate the entire thing. Even the teachers were so bad, like with it. Like the teachers would be like, oh, you're point one, so you need to be the best. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no. Anyways, I know that at some point throughout my secondary school, I did really do bad at maths in like form three, and basically I got taken down to track two for that specific. No, I didn't. I don't know if I got taken down to track two, to be honest. I think I got put in a class that goes before you get to track two. So it's like track three, but not the advanced stuff. But to be honest, they were like, oh, you can either stay here or like if you do better at the next exams, you'll go back to track three. And to be honest, I started taking like private lessons and I went back up. But to be honest, I'm like, the track two class, well, track two, three class felt better because there was less pressure from the teacher, and the teacher treated us as like, oh, you're doing this for yourself. But anyways, I felt mega hella crazy amount of imposter syndrome because I felt like I didn't belong there. I felt like I did not belong there. And it wasn't because like I feel like I look quite like an ordinary guy. So when people see me, they wouldn't think the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, he's a smart person. I'm not saying I'm smart. Trust me, I'm not the smartest person, but if I try, I can like do well, you know? Like if I focus, I'm able to do well. So, yeah, that whole thing happened and in form 2, yeah, form 2 was the worst cuz first year there were like with every year that progressed up until form 5, the amount of guys that were according to like the amount of girls just kept on shrinking. So the girls that stayed in like the girls that stayed from form 1 till form 5 in the same point 1 class were like 10 at least. And in each class you would have like 20 to 24 students. Whereas the guys, only me and another guy stayed in point 1. Like no one else, none of the other guys, they would always switch, there would be less. It's a whole thing. But basically, in Form 2, we got put into these classes according to our English, not our maths, Maltese, physics, and English. They just decided to prioritize English for some reason. I don't know why. I did not make the rules. But I literally got ganged up on in French class. We had French class, but yeah, so basically you can also pick a language when you're in secondary. So you study this language for like the next 5 years. Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. Yeah, 5 years. I really had to like, no, wait. Is it 4 years? I know like, I don't know if in Form 1 you have a language, but at some point you pick a language and you have it. But in my French class, we weren't gonna have a lesson. So we had a free lesson and I was just working on my stuff. And all of a sudden I see these five guys. And these five guys used to be in point one, but they're no longer in point one. And they looked at me and they're like, how are you in point one, but I'm not? And I'm like, I don't, you want to take my place? Take it. I don't care. And they kept on asking me questions like, I paid someone to be in point one. I don't care if I'm in point one. Like, take it. Like, and they just kept on interrogating me. And I'm like, can I please get out of this situation? Can you please stop talking to me? But of course, I had to like stay there, and I was like, okay, like. But I swear to God, any moment anyone could ask how I was in point one, I'd be like, I don't even know myself. Like, why am I even getting asked this question? And it was very like weird to say the least, because I've never experienced something like that. But basically, that made me feel quite the imposter syndrome in the educational part of things. Now, when junior college came around, that was a whole other story. Because junior college was like, you do your own thing and it's in your hands. No one cares what you do, no one cares at what level you are at. So, to be honest, I did not care as much. because I did not have a plan on what I was gonna do. I chose physics and math as my A levels, but I have an entire thing behind this. I chose physics and maths because I wanted to become an astronomer, not an engineer. People kept on asking if I was going to become an architect or an engineer, but look at like I don't look like I would. Well, I don't know. Like I could become an engineer, but to be honest, I don't want those types of jobs. Growing up, I've always wanted like quite a unique job. Call me quirky, call me like weird, but I've always seen myself as working something different. And the only thing that really interested me was physics in school. So I told myself, oh, what can I do with physics? And then I found out about astronomy. And then I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. I chose the subject. 2 months into junior college, we had a seminar. And in the seminar, we basically got told that an astronomer came to the seminar and he basically spoke and he showed off his equipment. And I asked him, I was like, what do you do? And after graduating, and he's like, oh, I just research. Research? You're telling me I study for like 4 or 5 years and I do research and I get paid for that? I'm like, no, I want more. And he's like, yeah, but in Malta you can't really like do much. There isn't like a research facility for it. And I could be mistaken. They could have changed. I'm saying this from what the guy told me. So I don't want to hear anyone be like, oh no, there is this and there is that. Because I don't know how things have changed. I don't know if the entire system sort of moved around. But I'm talking about this like this was 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago, because it was in my first year. So, yeah, basically, or 5 years ago. I don't know, 4 or 5 year. I think 5 years, because I did 3 years of my degree, 1 year of second year, and yeah, the first year. So basically 5 years. Um, but yeah, so he was like, "Oh, I just do research," and I was like, "Okay, that's great. I don't know what I'm gonna do now because I astronomy went down the drain." And I can hear you like telling me, "Oh, why don't you do it internationally?" Well, this was the issue. The degree you would get with the Maltese university would not count for doing work abroad. And I kept on thinking to myself, like, what could I do? What could I do? Then second year rolls around, and all of a sudden we're in COVID. And when we were in COVID, I discovered, well, I've always had a love for social media and content creation. In fact, I started junior college vlogging my life when I turned 16. Like I told myself when I turned 16, I would be vlogging myself. Now I'm 21. Vlogging is not really my thing, but I do like, journaling and like, documenting stuff on my phone. I just don't know how much I'll release it. Because I do have like a bunch of videos which I don't really release. But that's fine. That's okay. It's the way you create content. But to be honest, I want to create stuff for myself because I like the memory of it. And I wasn't that sure about like if I could study this, because to me it was only a hobby. But then COVID rolled around and I was like, oh, that's great. Because what I decided in first year was, okay, it's fine. I'll just do my A levels, I'll get my A levels, and then I'll take a gap year. And in that gap year I can travel. Because one big like to-do list off of my bucket list in life is to travel around the world. Well, I couldn't. COVID happened. So I was like, great, now what do I do? So then I just ended up being like, okay, I need to study something like now and I need to not waste any time because I knew that if I didn't pick to study something, I'd not have a job lined up. I didn't want to work any job that like I could get because to be honest, working a 9 to 5 job, like I up until this point, I've worked multiple jobs. I've worked at Flying Tiger. I've worked being a barman. I've worked as a store clerk. I've worked in an office. I've worked so many jobs that, to be honest, all of them were nice experiences. Where some of them weren't, but like all of them were learning experiences. But to be honest, if I had to work that for an entire year, I would be not, like would not be here. I would kill myself in the first like few months. I'd be like, it's over, bye. Because no, it's too depressing. I'm sorry. And I wanted more out of life. I want to study. I always liked studying. I never like did not like studying. So basically, I decided, okay, I'll just get my A levels and figure it out later on. I got my A levels, even though I didn't do great in them, because I like for me to go into architecture or engineering, or to be able to use my maths and physics to their maximum capabilities, because they're A levels. The rest are intermediate, which to be honest, like intermediates count, but I did better in my intermediates than my A levels. So for my intermediates, I got all of them in like the 1 to 3 range, whereas my A levels I got physics a 3 and maths a 4. which is like, or is it ABC? I forgot. I don't know if they're numbers or if they're letters. This is A levels, by the way, not O levels. I know. Okay, O levels is numbers. So A levels is ABC. So I got my physics a C and my maths a D. Yeah, something like that. Which, to be honest, isn't that bad. But to be honest, why am I saying to be honest so many times? I wasn't going to use them because all of the degrees that you could use maths and physics for were not my thing. So I was like, it's okay. I can come back to it. At least I do have my A levels. And that's what I tell myself now. If I want to go into an engineering degree, if I was into that, I could technically go into it. Well, I'd need to like fix up my maths. But if I'm not mistaken, you can do some extra diploma thing. But anyways, you can make it work. If you're in that phase of your studies where you're trying your best, as long as you're trying your best and as long as you're doing it, you should be fine. So I got my A levels, and after getting my A levels, I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. I'll see what I could study. And I kept on questioning whether I should go abroad, even though COVID was happening, because I kept on telling myself, oh, it's not going to blow up into this big ass pandemic. Well, looking back now, it's a good thing I didn't, because imagine me going abroad and getting stuck somewhere. But yeah, I decided to figure it out. And I went onto Google and I searched up media course Malta. Well, I'm lying because first I searched up media course international, like in general. Where can I do a media course? Because the next best thing I saw myself doing for the long term is social media. Social media, content creation, not whatever I turned into. I told myself I would go into social media, creative marketing, all of that. But I didn't like the marketing side of things because marketing is quite like, to me, it sounds very officey and very like businessy. Whereas I wasn't looking for business. I was looking like if I wanted to create stuff for myself. I just wanted to get better at editing, understanding what a camera is, understanding lighting, and understanding all of the different aspects of this creative field. Which, to be honest, you're like you might be telling me, hey, you could have done this on YouTube. But hey, listen, if I didn't have a degree or a course that tells me, listen, you need to do this, this, and this, I was not going to get anywhere. I was going to just confuse myself even more, trying to understand. I did try like looking up at like YouTube tutorials, but to be honest, it's just so limited in certain aspects. Because to be honest, with editing and with the like post production phase of it, it's quite easy to learn, but the hands on like doing things in production and pre production is so important to learn. I don't know, in practice rather than in theory, which is which leads me down me searching up social media course international, like just all over. And I looked at different courses, but to be honest, they cost money, a lot of money. Like we're talking about like 20K, and to be honest, I'm not ready to put down a loan on some random ass social media course. I would rather not go to school. And then I decided to search up if there was anything in Malta, which I knew there wasn't. The closest thing I was going to get to is communications, which I don't have anything against communications, but to be honest, it feels like communications is that one course that doesn't know what it's doing with itself. It's doing a bunch of things at the same time, and it just lets the student decide for themselves, which if you're a person who knows what they want to do in the creative field, great, go for communications. If communications is enough for you, great. But I was already a lost person, not knowing what I want to become in the future. I needed a bit more like guidance. So I told myself, okay, I'll just search up social media course Malta. And first thing that came up was creative media production in MCAST. And I was like, that looks interesting. And it was in the arts department. And I was like, let me read up like about it. And it spoke about being a production manager or a production assistant or something like that if you did the advanced diploma. But it also said you could become an editor. And I was like, ooh, editor. To me, I thought like editor like for YouTube videos. Turns out for films. And I was like, I don't know that. So then I kept on debating whether I should go for the advanced diploma or the degree. But to be honest, I had my A levels, so I was like, why not go for the degree? But my dumbass was I thought the advanced diploma and the degree were different things. They weren't like one level to the next. I thought one would like I thought that one would lead I thought that one would take you one way and the other one would take you the other way. But to be honest, it's just a leveling system. You go from advanced diploma to degree. And Yeah, entering the creative field was nice. It was fun. My degree turned out to be a filmmaking course rather than like just social media. Like even though it's creative media production, it's really like filmmaking. And if you're into filmmaking and you want to do a film course here in Malta, if you want to go to film school here in Malta, the closest thing you're gonna get to is that course. I think it changed though. I think now it's called video production, which is different because they're doing live streaming, which I was like, I wish I had that in my year because that's what I wanted to do, like from first year, not I don't know, talking about films, which to be honest, looking back now, did like that degree did spark something in me which was totally different. I never knew I loved films that much, and I never knew I would find myself sort of working in the film industry, but I never really signed up for it. It just happened. And to be honest, it's great that it worked out like that because it led me to a lot of different opportunities in my life. And I don't think I would be at this point in life if I didn't do that degree. But basically, entering the creative field did lead me down another issue, which was imposter syndrome in the creative field, which is so different and it just is so degrading to you as a person. And like it makes you feel so worthless. The best part about this course is it let you mess up and it let you like do different things and experiment. I have a whole video over on my vlogging channel, Hafidos IRL, where I literally speak about my creative school, like my film school journey and all of that. I have a vlog up where I talk about, well, where I show you literally, I just go into school and I show you the entire place and I show you what a day in the life looks like. But I also have a video coming out soon where I did an entire Q&A where I spoke about like my experience, what I did, what I didn't do, sort of what is expected from you. Because even my thesis, I had to film a short film, which I wouldn't call a short film of mine. Like it's not my short film debut, but it's a project. It's a good project, and I feel like that's what a lot of these films turn out to be. They're not supposed to be taken serious because it's literally you, like one man production house, basically. And that's something I really do wish that that degree did better, which is like working together as a class to have different roles and everyone has their like part within a larger production. But even in the units where we did have to work as a class, as a group, no one really knew what role to take. So I feel like it puts you in a situation where you don't know who you are, but also you know who you are. So it's a very like, should I do this? Should I do that? I don't know if I'm good at this. I don't know if I'm good at that, which is the issue with confidence, self identity, and sort of having this artistic identity to yourself within the creative field. It's something I really struggled with. And in our final year of my course, we had this unit called, I don't even know what it's called. I think self promotion and something. Self promotion and self identity, something like that. Like it spoke about like you being an artist and you pushing yourself out there and you telling the world who you are. But the issue was, I spent 3 years doing this course and I couldn't figure out who I was. I could figure out who I had become through my online weird videos. Weird videos. I was just doing K pop videos, like K pop music video concepts, because I really found myself really invested in the music video production and just the entire idea of like directing creatively a group or like a song and being able to like decide what music video visuals you would be using or what the sound would look like. All of that really was what I wanted to do. But at the same time, I never learned this at school. I just found myself doing it online, which is also so nice. Like doing things on your own is the greatest thing you could do. Because if you don't do it for yourself, who will? I did find myself experiencing a lot of imposter syndrome because when I would attend, well, I didn't identify myself as being a filmmaker because I couldn't call myself a filmmaker. I didn't go to film school. And even when I call my school a film school, people from my course or people who just know about the course would be like, not really a film school. But when I met people from abroad who went to film school, like some of them, I'm not like now I'm not gonna be generalizing. Some of them have really gone into the experience side of things. Like they have like a lot of experience and a lot of studies backing them. But some of them have never picked up a camera. And I'm like, and you still call it a film school. And yet at my school, it's like you're picking up film cameras and you're picking up like cinema cameras and you need to do this and you need to film that. And the amount of detail this course went into to not call itself a filmmaking um degree is illegal because literally like even the stuff the school would send us like they would send us emails about opportunities that we have, and most of them are filmmaking, like things like workshops abroad. But at the same time, it's really frustrating because you would show up at these places and everyone would be like, "Oh, what are you, a director, a script writer?" And I'd be like, "I don't know who I am," because I came into this course thinking I want to be a social media person, I want to be like a content creator, but here I am attending filmmaking workshops, and I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm like, I never imagined myself being a director for films or being like a producer or I don't know, a scriptwriter. Although now I do see myself doing certain roles, like script writing is something that I really am passionate about. Like sometimes I have ideas and I want to create them, so I just write them down. The best thing you could do is write it down so you can like I don't know, make it like readable, put it into one medium, which is like nice, because yeah, if I start writing, I won't stop. I kept on searching within myself, like what I could do. Sorry, I keep on touching my chin. It's itchy for some reason. Like I don't know. I don't know. Don't don't question it. Um, but I kept on researching and trying to find what I could become, and then I just looked at the people I looked up to, and to be honest, a lot of them were just independent content creators who had a filmmaking style, or else they were photographers who were also creative directors or art directors on film sets, which was something I looked into further. And to be honest, that's the closest thing I could really see myself doing within the creative field of filmmaking. But also, it put me in a really weird position because now I didn't know what to do with myself when it came to local jobs. Because in Malta, it's quite limited with the film industry. Like, you have these notable figures, which, to be honest, good for them, they have many years of experience backing them up. If you want to go into the industry, you have to go in as an assistant or something like that. Which, to be honest, I don't mind, but at the same time, it's always filled up. It's always like everyone's always like in it, and everyone's always like, there's too much. It's the industry is already saturated with people coming from abroad to film in Malta, that if you try to work in international productions, you won't find yourself getting anywhere because most of the time they'll already have their own team. And if I could work in local productions, but I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't put that in my portfolio. If I had to work on local productions, I wouldn't be like thrilled about it. Although there are some really nice, like niche short films that I've been seeing doing the rounds on social media from these like independent film production companies, which I look at and I'm like, this looks interesting because this looks like something I'd love to work on. But also at the same time, I don't know how that is, and I don't know if they already have their own team. Because I know that if I had to start my own production company, I would probably have my own team, and I'd already know who I want to have be part of that. So if you just don't know the right people at the right time, you won't get anywhere. And to be honest, I want something much more sustainable and much more like regular than irregular. I don't want a one-off job about a film that I'll work on for months and then it's over. I want more out of life, I guess. Like I could have that be a side thing, sort of like events, but I can't have it be my main priority because it'll be too draining and like too draining and also not as fulfilling. I want something more fulfilling out of my job. It put me at a really weird spot. And to be honest, even attending event coverage and doing like social media managing, I do it using my phone. And to be honest, I don't mind it. I don't look at it being any less than anyone else. Because to be honest, the stuff you would need for social media, like stories and like sometimes even like reels and posts, it doesn't need to be anything crazy with quality. You could have the photographers and the videographers do the more like, I don't know, focused work which you would deliver like 2 to 3 days after the event, but on the day live posting you could just use your phone. And I just have an iPhone 11, like this is my phone. And to be honest, I know I need to upgrade, like the iPhone 11 is getting out of date, but it still really works amazing. Like I haven't found any issues with it. And to be honest, I can't lie if I don't say that when I do work events, I do get imposter syndrome because I am the one carrying the phone. And I don't know why. And it's a very weird situation because I tell myself, oh, you don't have to be ashamed for using your phone. But at the same time, I imagine myself seeing someone else using their phones and the way I would feel. Like, even next to the photographers or videographers, I feel like a joke. I feel like I am not a professional. And to be honest, I don't see myself being on the same level as them. But at the same time, I don't know why I think like that. Because to be honest, we're not competing for the same thing. We're doing different things. It's like imagine the photographer and the videographer compete for like against one another. The videographer, to be fair, has like moving images, whereas the photographer has still images. But they're different mediums and they're different like forms of art. And at the same time, I ask myself, I'm like, would I see myself doing videography or photography? And to be honest, no. Like, I don't think I'll ever, well, I don't think I'll ever see myself doing videography in terms of like events. I'm talking about events here, even photography, events, because it takes a lot out of you. And to be honest, I feel like I am that type of person where if I'm overstressed in the situation, I won't be able to do it well. And I don't know how people with big ass cameras manage to do it at events. I'm like over here with my phone and I'm already like doing my best to get the shot. Imagine having like a camera and trying to like work everything because cameras are quite complicated. Even after doing my degree, they're still quite complicated. Like ISO, exposure, ISO exposure, what else? Shutter speed. Look at me. But even like the whole thing with like storage, having to like have multiple SSDs, well, cards and then SSDs, and then having the footage, and the footage is like gigabytes, X gigabytes large, and I'm like, all of it is really stressful, and all of it is a lot. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm ready to do that with work that isn't mine. I feel like if it's a passion project of mine and I'm the only one working on it, I'll give it my all because I'm the only one that believes in it, I guess. But yeah, I don't see myself doing videography or photography in events, but I do see myself doing photography and videography on my own personal stuff and projects. And even like in terms of like music video conceptualization, something I did recently was I worked with my friend who is doing a song cover. She was singing, and I worked with her to be able to create a cover for her like song for her. Well, it's not her song, but she sang the song, and we just recorded a short video which was really cute. And I even took some photos, which was also really nice. But also at the same time, I look at that work and I'm like, I like this work, but at the same time, I wouldn't consider this to be my best potential because I feel like my best potential is put to reality if I'm able to have people to work with, if that makes sense. Like, if I'm able to get people to work alongside me, where we have like someone who's a videographer and someone who's an editor and someone who's like doing the other parts of this entire big puzzle piece, it would be so amazing because I feel like I have this idea in my head. And to be honest, sometimes this also makes me feel like sort of a fraud and sort of like am I really creative or is it just me being dumb sometimes? I'm like, a lot of people have ideas in their heads. Why do I think my ideas are special? You know? And to be honest, I thought about that a lot, but then I look around and I ask myself, I'm like, if everyone else has these ideas, why are you the only one that wants to work on them? I feel like with my brain, I have a lot of ideas that come up when I see creative art. Like if I see something and I want to create something similar, I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this, but different, which is something that also inspires me for like script projects and like film concepts I come up with. Like I see a movie and then I see another movie and I see another movie and over 10, 20 movies, I'm like, oh, imagine if that movie and that movie had a baby and the baby's this movie, Like, and then I did some research and a lot of movies are born like that, where you have like multiple different like inspirations and they create something. I don't know why I kept on telling myself, oh, you need to be original. No one has to have created something like it. It has to be different. Because if it's an idea which is unoriginal or inspired by something else, it's very uncreative and you can't call it yours because it's not yours, because it's not totally different than any other thing. And I'm like, no, you can have inspired work and have it be your own because you do it in your own style. And to be honest, yeah, that's why I call myself creative director at this point. And that's why, to be honest, I own the title, because I'm like, if I don't take myself seriously, who will? And it's very important to like fake it till you make it, because I feel like if you don't fake it, no one will actually be like, oh yeah, you actually do this. Because if I keep on telling myself, oh, I am an aspiring creative director, which to be honest, I do say a lot. I say I am an aspiring creative director, but to be honest, at what point will I be not an aspiring creative director? I feel like I will always have that title with me. So it's better off to just call myself a creative director and work on that. Because if I keep on telling myself I'm an aspiring creative director, I'll keep on working on projects and telling myself, no, there's another big project and the next big project, or maybe the next big I'll never get to like a point where I'm satisfied. I'll keep on just And I'm like, no, just enjoy it and enjoy creating the stuff you like, you know? And that's something else I really want to do is work much more on my own personal stuff because I feel like I don't have much to show for who I am. I get inspired by music videos to create my music videos over on Hafidos. And it's very weird to call them my music videos because they aren't my music videos at all. But over on Hafidos, I do create these concept music videos, concept albums. I do create mashups here and there. It's a bunch of like, imagine if the K-pop world's creative side was managed by one person and that person is me. And although I don't always hit the mark on the ideas I have, I love just posting random stuff when I feel like, oh, this would work out, this would be great as an idea. Like one of the videos that really blew up and really made me like think about it is I created a Blackpink concept music video for Batter Up, which is by Baby Monster, which is like the baby group, the next level from YG, who is a girl group, who like YG is the company and Baby Monster is the girl group, and they used to have Blackpink. Well, they still have Blackpink, but like it's different generations. And I was like, oh, imagine if this music video was for that, but like they have the same style for like Batter Up, but it's in Blackpink style, and it really worked out and it was really great, and it was nice to create, and it took time for me to create. But at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, it's not my work, you know. It is, but it isn't, which is a very like in between because I created the concept music video, but I did not record any of the footage. I edited maybe like I edited the music video for sure, but I also didn't do any of the music. So it's like, to what extent would I call it my work? I know it's not my work. I know it's like a fan made type of thing, but recently I was watching a graphic designer I look up to. That's someone like that's another niche of people I look up to is graphic designers. And they were saying that if you create fan made work, just say you did it and that's it. You don't have to say it's fan made because people will start taking you seriously for jobs that are for these bigger artists when they think that you worked with other bigger artists. Because if you didn't, like if they don't know that you've worked with other big artists, they'll only think you work with smaller artists or like companies. And like one of them said that she only got like her big clients when she like put up her fan made work, and she's like, you put in the work for the fan made stuff and you put in the time you would have spent in like if you were actually hired by them. So I tell myself and I'm like, I feel like the K-pop industry is something which is really close to what I would see myself working in, but even the music industry is enough for me. But also at the same time I can't be a one man group because I really want to work with other creatives, but at the same time I want to work with other creatives, but I feel like I am not at the level I want to be at to be able to feel deserving to work with other creatives because I feel like I'm an imposter and I'm a fraud if I work with other people that have like worked with these great amazing like artists and like had these amazing projects under their belt. But also at the same time I ask myself and I'm like, if I keep on going on with that loop, I would never get anywhere and I would never get any sort of job because I'll never get the experience if I don't try. And when I say I want to work with like these creative artists and want to work with bigger clients, even just as like an internship, as like I just want to try it out. I just don't want to do it for fun. I don't even want to like get paid. I'm willing to do it like just for fun. But also the frustrating part is you can't do it if you're not based in the same place as them. So a lot of like companies either reach out to people in LA or like in Korea and like Seoul, South Korea, or Japan, like Tokyo, Japan, and I'm not based anywhere around there. So I'm like, oh, what will I do? I don't know, because it's such a big risk to go to these places and tell yourself you're gonna figure it out, but at the same time I'm asking myself and I'm like, I don't have anything to make me seem unique and seem special to these people. Anything I do is not as serious, and any work that I'm proud of is work which I've done which is fan made, which is frustrating. But even when I try to create more serious work and more authentic work, I feel like I can't reach my full potential because I don't have the assets and like I don't have that many arms. I don't have that many like people to be able to work with me and call that my work. It's also really weird and it's really like it's overall really frustrating because I feel like I can't get anywhere without doing anything, but also I can't do anything because I don't have any like anything to go off from. You know, like nepotism sounds nice right now because I feel like if I had money, I would be able to create like a lot of things which I like. But also at the same time, I just want that. I need that big break where someone trusts me and gives me a chance to create something, and I'm able to do so. And I've had like locally, I've had people reach out and give me opportunities to work with them. But at the same time, they're not in the field that I would like to work in, which is really frustrating. And also, they would expect, like here in Malta, there's this toxic idea that if you're hired for one job, you do multiple different jobs. And I'm like, I'm ready to be like an editor, maybe. I'm ready to be like a creative director, which is my main focus. But at the same time, I'm not here to be like the camera guy and be like the sound guy and be like the lighting person. You know, I only have like I need a team. It's overall really frustrating because people try doing things for cheaper and people try to cut down on costs, but at the same time I'm like it seems like no one wants to like pay and give creatives the actual like assets they need and the actual like stuff they need to be able to create. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I'm asking for a lot if I go up to an artist who I know is trying to create something that they like and they are trying to create something that they cherish, but at the same time, they're quite like limited on their costs, you know, they're quite limited on their budget. It puts me in this weird like imposter syndrome. And sometimes I ask myself, and I'm like, why would I even want to do that? Because the joy I find is creating my own stuff over on social media and content creation. Like, for example, this podcast, where it's just me on my own creating stuff. But to be honest, I already have thought of ideas that I would like to integrate for future renditions of this podcast. Because, of course, season one is going to last for 12 episodes, and then I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to have season two, and then potentially season three. And every season will be different, and every season will get better. But I feel like for this first season, it's really nice to be able just to sit down and see how I would feel being a podcaster and like run the entire show. I feel like it's so nice to be able to create something in my little bubble, in my little space. And even the fact that it's in my room, it feels so like genuine and feels like, oh, I have something which I can call my own. I feel like this podcast, although I've been doing content creation for such a long time, this podcast is my first time where I'm seeing myself create something which feels really like, oh, this is a project I can be proud of and I can like show to people and be like, hey, listen, I created this and I made this. Because I actually did all on my own. I did the idea generation, I did the entire like directing of the visuals, the aesthetic, I did the entire like logo for it, like the entire like idea for the name, and even like I don't know, even just putting up these postcards like behind me and like being like, okay, I'm gonna film it partially on my bed. And I was inspired by like different podcasts that I've seen, and I've been inspired by many different people that do create podcasts and are just creatives within the field. But I feel like I was able to create my own space and my own like project, you know? But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not trying to like become some person in the podcasting world. I created this podcast just to be able to vent and talk about my frustrations and talk about the struggles of growing up. And I did it because I found myself that I would find people around me also experiencing the same thing, but not everyone wants to talk about it and not everyone wants to open up in the moment. They prefer just having it on their own and dealing with it on their own. So to be honest, I'm like, let me vent about it on the internet because I have no shame about myself. I can put anything up on, well, not anything, but like I put a lot of myself up on the internet because I feel like I'm quite unfiltered with who I am as a person, and I feel like I could be the most authentic with myself in front of a camera. Because even in front of new people, I might not be the most genuine because I'll still have that like reservation of, oh, they might judge me. And the nice thing about like being able to like record yourself and then edit it is if I don't want this part to be in the podcast, I can just cut it out, you know. But at the same time, I'm still saying it out loud, which is nice. And at the same time, I'm still, manifesting it, like say like make bringing it into reality. Whereas you can't really do that with people because if you say something to them, you have to, you know, be okay with the idea, oh, you've said it, you can't really take it back, because once you've said it, you've said it. I feel like I've talked a lot about my experiences, and I've spoken a lot about like situations where I felt imposter syndrome the most. And even when it comes to like something which is really niche and specific, I've spoken about the creative industry, so filmmaking, and I've spoken about like me going into my degree, and I've spoken about education. Something else that I really want to talk about is the fashion industry, which is even more frustrating. I get such imposter syndrome about being a person who, I really love fashion and beauty. Like, well, beauty, when I say beauty, I mean skincare and like taking care of yourself, but also like even partially doing makeup to like fix yourself. Oh god, that sounded bad. No, I don't mean fix yourself, but at the same time, I mean like take care of yourself and be presentable. I don't know if that wording sounds good, but even just fine tuning yourself, if that makes sense. Like, if I have a big occasion, I'll most probably like put on some sort of makeup to be able to like perfect my skin, and even like do my hair, and like I have an entire hair care routine, and even like, I don't know, simple things like maintaining my eyebrows, because my eyebrows are quite bushy, and like even just taking care of my beard. All of these things are things I do, but at the same time, I feel like as a man, I don't really have the right to be like, hey, listen, I'm in the fashion and beauty world, because it's very weird in the world of today's standards where a man is either masculine or feminine. A man can take care of himself, but also if he does it to the extent where he puts on makeup, he's considered as being too feminine and gay. But also at the same time, if a guy takes care of himself and he still appears masculine enough, he's just grooming himself and he's a gentleman, and he's like, oh wow. And I'm like, bro, I just like doing these things. I just like taking care of myself, and I just like putting on some makeup, you know? Like, something I did was, the if you go over to my second channel, which is Hafidos 2, you'll see this one video called Hafidos Beauty Secrets, and it's basically a parody of the Vogue Beauty Secrets video. And I did it, one, because I really wanted to just show my getting ready process, but also at the same time, I didn't see that many videos where men were shown to like get ready in these like Vogue and like Elle magazine and like all of these big brands where we have ambassadors for like these companies which are very catered towards, I guess, women. I feel like they still cater to men, but also at the same time, they don't like, you don't put the importance there. And like, it's very frustrating. Even like for stuff like the Met Gala, like, bro, you could dress up. You have the excuse to like put on a nice outfit, but people don't take advantage of that. And if celebrities don't want to do that, it's fine. But at the same time, I wish I could be the person that speaks about this and does like talks about this. But I also don't feel that comfortable showing that side of myself on the internet, because I feel like, well, on the internet and to anyone, because I don't feel like anyone, well, people who are close to me know how much I care about fashion and like beauty. But at the same time, I feel like I can't really show that part of myself, because people might consider me as being too feminine or too gay or too and it's like, bro, just let me be myself. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't care, you know? Like, just let me do my thing and you just do your thing. Whatever insecurities you have, keep them to yourself. I don't want to hear it. And it just gets me so annoyed that I can't show off my passion for fashion, for example, if I don't spend thousands of euros on clothes. You know, I don't have the money to be out here spending thousands on clothes. But at the same time, you'll never catch me buying from Shein or Temu, which is something I am so proud of and something I'll never stoop that low to go to. Because I don't know if it's here in Malta, I don't know if it's like a general thing. So many people I know just order from Shein or Temu, and I'm like looking at them and I'm like, you know, the things that go on to be able to create that top, for example, or like those pair, like that pair of jeans. It's like kids working in sweat factories, and people might be like, yeah, it's fast fashion, and like you have brands like Zara and Bershka and Pull&Bear doing the same thing. Yeah, but at least we have a standard. We do have some control over that, because if we look at Zara, Bershka, and Pull&Bear, I hope, because I could be just not knowledgeable about the entire thing, but I feel like there is some sort of like boundaries and some restrictions on who works on the stuff that is created, and at the same time, the prices that are created for these clothes, some of it does go back to the worker. Maybe not 100% of it, but if you see a shirt which costs €5 and you tell yourself, oh, it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Something doesn't make sense in the process. But something else I try like talking about, because I feel like being in the fashion industry, you either throw all your money at clothes and be like, yeah, I want that. The latest trend, I want it. And you're considered as being fashionable, even though you're not. Having your own style and having your own vibe is so much better than just throwing money at like these expensive things and being like, oh, wow, I have this flashy new thing and I paid for it. So therefore, I am fashionable. I feel like in the fashion world, it's pay to win, which it shouldn't be. Like something I really preach about is sustainable fashion and thrifting, which is something really important. I've been thrifting like some of my favorite clothes from secondhand stores and from charity shops, which here in Malta, they're not even called thrift stores, they're just called charity shops and secondhand stores, since like my first year in junior college, which was like 5 years ago. So mind you, I was doing thrifting and buying secondhand stuff and like going and seeking out these really niche places here in Malta, although as time has gone on, it's become better. Because I really wanted to find these like spaces where I'm like, okay, even though we might not be the same as like abroad, we can try to create it. Like just look out for it and you might find something. And from like 5 stores, I might find like one jacket, but it's fine. At least I tried, you know? And that jacket would have cost me like €5, which to be honest is a great bargain. But I'm not doing it for the bargain. I'm doing it because that jacket just needs a new owner. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And it's going for a great cause, going to a charity. Please, if, because I hate this so much, hate it so much. I did it once, and I don't think I'm gonna do it again. And I'm gonna say this because I feel like if you're watching the episode up until here, you are. If you're watching the episode up until here, if you are the brand Thrift MT, click off, say bye, ciao, don't. If you are a brand if you are an owner of a brand which resells thrifted items, clothing items, please click off. If you are someone who buys and resells clothes, please click off. Okay. I bought the shirt that I'm wearing right now from a second-hand reseller. Here in Malta, there's this one big brand called Thrift NT, and they're well known like on Instagram, I guess, because that's where I see them most. And I wanted to check it out because I was like, ooh, this seems interesting. The shirt cost me, I think, €25. I bought the shirt and shorts, and both of them cost me €50. Excuse me? This shirt would have cost €25 brand new, but I'm not even going to complain about that. I the the money that you get goes back into the company, and I'm like, huh? I'd rather put my money towards charity shops and shops that give their funds to charities and like people in need. Because what do you mean you're like just profiting out of the trend of doing thrift stores? Excuse me? No, that's so unethical. The whole point of like sustainable fashion and ethical like fashion is doing things for the better good of humanity and not doing it for the trend of it. And I bought the shirt because it was quite like it's quite nice and it's quite like comfortable. But it was the only thing I bought, and I bought it because I walked in there and I went, now I have to buy something. Because I looked around and it feels bad if I walk in and I just leave. It's the same thing as like the clothes I have, which are from like Bershka or Zara or Pull&Bear, you know? Like, okay, I'll still buy from Zara. I feel like I'm saying I won't buy from these brands anymore. But I swear to God, if you are a thrift store which buys secondhand clothes for cheap and then upsells the cost, raises up the prices, doubles the price, and then resells it, please don't. Like, I don't know what's the point. I don't even see the point in it because I feel like it's not even your thing. You're just picking out the clothes, and I'm like, okay, and what about it? Like, so it's very frustrating. It's very annoying to see these types of brands exist here in Malta, and I feel like abroad it's much better because abroad you'll find vintage stores which are so different from like thrift stores. If you want a vintage store, like I have a Fila jacket over there which I bought from Norway, which was bought from a vintage store, and this vintage store, oh god, I'm spitting. This I'm spitting facts. This vintage store sells all branded items. They make sure the certification is of um of the official company from the actual brand. I have a Fila jacket. They confirmed it was Fila. And that Fila jacket cost me 35 euros, which is 10 euros more than the shirt. And that jacket is big and comfy, and I wear it all throughout winter. But also, it was like 20 or 30% of the profit they make goes to actual charities and goes back to communities in need, which I'm like, where is that in Malta? I could be mistaken. I could be mistaken about like Thrift MT. I could be mistaken about like charity shops, like secondhand resellers here in Malta. Like I know Thrift in the City is another brand. I could be mistaken. They could be giving their money back to charities, and I'm just not knowledgeable about that. But excuse me, even Thrift in the City, I have an entire beef with this company. Well, it's one sided. They don't know I exist, but I went to this one thing that they've been promoting on their TikTok for ages. The 1 kilo, you can buy an entire kilo of clothes, and it only costs you like 20 euros or something like that. I forgot the price, but for X amount of euros. I went to the shop. It's only women's wear. Where's the men? Where's the men? You know, and you might be like, oh yeah, the creators are like women. Okay, then can you please like show that your store isn't for both men and women? Because when I saw the place being promoted, I didn't get any hint of like, oh, it's only for women. You know, and I feel like it would be really problematic if a thrift store opened up and it's only for men and not for women. I want to be included in these places, like, make it all inclusive. And I'm not talking about like having ultra masculine clothes, because I don't mind wearing something which is unisex, but please have it be more like, I don't know, all encompassing. Anyways, I feel like I'm ranting about stuff which shouldn't be in this episode, but oh god, I feel like I'm yapping about stuff which, to be honest, doesn't have anything to do with imposter syndrome. But this was a spiral out of the whole thing with the fashion industry and, yeah, just fashion. And for example, this past fashion week, this has been my second year attending fashion week, and I've been working the event doing social media. So if you're someone from fashion week, hi. I love working fashion week, and I love like meeting the people I enjoy most meeting are the makeup artists and the hair people and the designers. I'm sorry, the models are nice, not all of them. Some of the models are stuck up, and I swear to God, being a model here in Malta, like, you look good, but at the same time you don't look that good. Like, calm down. Let's lower the ego from like up here to down here. Because like having confidence is one thing, but having a massive ego, like, please don't. Like, if you're a model, I've been like, I tried my best to be friendly with them. Not all of them are nice. Some of them are really nice, and some of them are just bitchy. I'm sorry, like they give you the worst bitch face, and they're like, "Don't talk to me. I'm important." And I'm like, "Bruh, you're a model. Shut up. Like, please." Like, I'm not saying that I'm something better, but at the same time, let's just be friends. Like, anyways, yeah. Apart from that, though, I feel like the worst part of any fashion week, which I can't believe I'm saying, is the influencers. I'm sorry. I want to be in whatever delusional world these influencers live in, because I swear to God, like, main character syndrome exists, and it's so bad because these people just believe that they are at the center of the solar system. They are the sun, and I swear to God, some person puts on some weird ass dress or some weird ass suit, and they're like, "Look at me, I'm fashionable." I'm like, "What?" And fashion is like subjective. No, yeah, it's subjective because it's not objective. It's all according to people's opinions and people's tastes. But at the same time, when something doesn't look good, I'm sorry, it doesn't look good. And I'm not saying I'm the like most perfect, amazing, um, fashion stylist or like fashionable person. I'm like quite ordinary if you see my fashion sense. But at the same time, I do try. I do try to have a quite a unique like vibe to myself, which is different from the usual. I go for this quite like street style, streetwear, formal look, which is a bit like mixing two different genres of clothing. But I found out that it exists over on Pinterest. If you search up streetwear, formal streetwear, you'll find a lot of different things. And yeah, that's mainly my vibe. But I'm down to try different unique styles. I don't mind it. And something I did for this past fashion week was like I did all sustainable clothes. So everything I wore was thrifted, majority, unless it was like one, like a pair of pants, which I already had from like my collection. But like, if I had this new vest, if I had this new blazer, I thrifted it, I thrifted everything. And it looked good because people would tell me it looked good. But it's funny because anytime anyone tells me I look like my outfit looks good, the first thing I tell them is it's thrifted. And then not only do I say it's thrifted, I proceed to tell them the exact price I bought that thing for. And my mom has told me multiple times, she's like, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, but I want to. And it's funny because I feel like from my entire family, I'm the only guy that like is here for the sustainable fashion. To be honest, I think from even my friend group, I'm the only guy that's here for sustainable fashion and like thrifting. And most of the time, people, when I tell them that I thrift, they're like, I wouldn't wear secondhand things. Why do you need to wear secondhand things? And I'm like, I do it because like you can find actually good things. They're like, oh, you don't have money? Are you that poor? And I'm like, no, bro. Like I am broke, but not that broke. Like, come on. But at the same time, I'm like, you can find actually decent things, and like, why wouldn't you want to do it? Like, it's just clean the clothes. Of course, if you find something really soiled in like the thrift store, don't buy it. But at the same time, you're probably never gonna find anything crazy soiled. It's so funny. But yeah, thrift. It's a really fun thing, and I know it's not for everyone, but try it at least once. You're not gonna die if you go into a thrift store. Um, but yeah, I feel like a lot of people when they hear thrift, they're like, oh, charity shop. Oh, I feel like here in Malta it's very like that. Abroad, it might be more popular to thrift and buy things secondhand. But yeah, it's very funny because I don't know why. It's just this thing in me where if anyone ever tells me that my jacket looks nice and it's thrifted, I tell them, thank you, it's thrifted. And I proceed to tell them the exact price. It's like I'm proud that I was able to get it for this price. And it's so funny. But yeah, if you ever see me in something thrifted, just say it looks nice and I'll tell you the exact price and the where it was thrifted from. But anyways, yeah, I feel like I've been rambling for quite a bit. I feel like this is the longest episode where I've talked for quite a bit. Like I'm looking over at the recording, it's like an hour, 30 minutes. So yeah, I'll enjoy cutting this down. But yeah, I don't know what the length is now. I probably will be like around an hour. But yeah, let me end off this episode. I've talked a lot. If you have ever experienced imposter syndrome, and if you've ever been in a situation where you were made to feel alienated or like you weren't deserving of that thing, please do comment it down below. Please do tell me about it. Please do DM me. Please just feel free to share your experience. I feel like I want to hear more about like people experiencing imposter syndrome, and mainly in the creative field. Like you might not be in the creative field, but if you are someone in the creative field, please do share your experiences because I feel like I'm the only guy to like be feeling this. And yeah, if you're not in the creative field, tell me other fields where you've experienced imposter syndrome. Maybe it was around your friends, maybe it was around your family, maybe it was around colleagues, maybe it was around people from your school. So yeah, I feel like alienation and feeling different from others is something that we all experience throughout our lives. And I spoke about this last episode and I'll speak about it again. This podcast is a space where you feel like you're part of something, and wherever, from whatever, from whoever you are, and however you look, however you feel, however you are made, you are your own unique person. And please feel free to join this community. But yeah, I'll be ending off the episode there. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Please like, subscribe, comment, follow, rate this podcast 5 stars, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.